Joining us now is James Billow, editor at UnHerd. James, great to see you again. It's a big day for Donald Trump tomorrow, marking 100 days since he's been back in power. Look, love him or hate him, he's certainly a bold leader. He's been brave enough to shake things up, to do things differently, and it's been so refreshing to have a fierce, strong leader after years of the Biden administration. Look, many people see him as a disruptor. How would you assess his first 3 months?
Well, I completely agree with that assessment. And we even had The Atlantic magazine coming out describing Trump as one of the most consequential presidents in living memory, if not American history. So, without question, whether you like him or hate him, he has made a huge difference and he's really challenging the status quo. I'd say he has scored some massive victories already, particularly on immigration. He's cracked down on the border. They are now illegal crossings are now at record lows. He's finally returned the gender question to some common sense.
Yes.
On DEI, he's gutted the departments in federal agencies, and that's had this ripple effect that you're seeing across corporate America, who were, let's not forget, one of the biggest proponents of these practices during that BLM 2020s era. So yes, I think he can point to a lot of successes in his first 100 days. There are going to be some question marks, of course. Ukraine, Russia still rumbling on. Let's see if he gets a deal there. Israel, Palestine, that's not quite nearing a conclusion either. But all in all, it's been a fascinating 100 days and really interesting one to cover.
Certainly a fascinating 100 days. And on those points of Ukraine and also Israel, Gaza, he's certainly made steps forward far more than the Biden administration. Now, the White House lawn is currently lined with posters of 100 of, quote, the worst illegal immigrant criminals that have been arrested in the first 100 days of President Trump's second term. Now, these posters also list the crimes that that person is accused of committing. Some include rape, murder, and distributing fentanyl. Now, it's interesting where this has been placed around the White House because it's in eyeshot of all the TV reporters. So this hasn't exactly gone down well with some outlets that are part of the mainstream media.
Well, exactly right. And you can't forget that Trump is a showman and he is leaning into the issue where he polls strongest. Immigration from the get-go has been his defining and most pivotal issue that he's campaigned on. And quite frankly, he's had a huge amount of success on it, particularly with regard to the border. So what he's doing here, yes, he's firing up the base without doubt, but it's also serving to rankle Democrats and try and ensnare them in a position so they end up defending some of these people, like you said, taking fentanyl across the border, first-degree murder, battery, all these different kind of charges that would be unacceptable for any kind of citizen. But for some reason, if you're an illegal immigrant, you get treated to a different standard. So without question, he's really trying to goad the Democrats into biting. And, quite unsurprisingly, a lot of the mainstream media outlets did exactly that. So 1-0 Trump.
Absolutely. Well, let's look at the Democrats. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and Senator Cory Booker hosted a sit-in on the Capitol steps in protest against the GOP budget. They claim that the budget proposal is reckless and immoral. They were there for nearly 12 hours and they said that this was a significant moral moment in America. Well, let's just take a look.
We got some power here. Now, we said we were anchoring ourselves in the moral traditions. When we came out here over 10 hours ago, Hakeem and I said this is a bigger moment than politics. This is a moral moment in America, and we were going to sit here for a long time. I didn't know we'd be sitting for 10 hours, but it's 10 hours and we're still going, and we got some great people here.
James, what are your thoughts on that? Do you agree? Was it really the moral moment they claimed that it was?
I just find these calls to morality and moral equivalency just absolutely bizarre. And I really just cannot make heads or tails of what they are trying to achieve here. It's this kind of gesture politics that was so symptomatic of the 2016 era. And we're just reliving that moment again and again and again. And it is so frustrating to watch. But for me, the most frustrating thing is you've got a lawmaker here sitting on the steps doing what any kind of member of public could do when actually you could go into Congress and actually try and challenge and shape the law rather than just sitting on the steps complaining about it. So the whole thing just seems bizarre. It's performative, and it's just symptomatic of a bygone era that I don't think anyone wishes to return to.
So performative. I mean, 12 hours sitting on the steps, surely there's better things that they could be doing with that amount of time. Now, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritskar delivered a fiery speech in New Hampshire, slamming the, quote, do-nothing Democrats. And he really didn't hold back, blasting the Democrats for flocking to podcasts, which, you know, appears to be a bit of a swipe at Gavin Newsom. And he also accuses the Democrats of not really accepting the blame for their own lack of guts. Take a listen to this.
Fellow Democrats, for far too long we've been guilty of listening to a bunch of do-nothing political types who would tell you that America's house is not on fire, even as the flames are licking their faces. And now that this culture of timidity is on full display, those same do-nothing Democrats want to blame our losses on our defense of black people, of trans kids, of immigrants, instead of their own lack of guts and gumption.
And his comments have fueled speculation about a possible 2028 presidential run. What's your thoughts?
Oh, there's no question that he's running, and this is a pretty clear pitch towards that. And I think what these comments make clear, as his previous comments have as well, is that he's really angling for capturing that progressive lane. One thing Pritskar has to be careful about is that there is a lot more energy being generated in that progressive lane from the likes of Bernie Sanders and AOC. So he's actually got a lot of work to do in that department. It's pretty clear, as you say, he is coming after the likes of Gavin Newsom and also Pete Buttigieg, who recently went on the Flagrant podcast with Andrew Schultz. But this strategy is a failed strategy. I just do not know what the logic of this move is. We've quite clearly seen that in 2016 and even 2020 with the election of Joe Biden, the American public does not want a progressive leading either the Democrats or the country, and it's a failed initiative. So I do not understand why he's attacking so hard the left here. He clearly thinks that will be such a heavy reaction to the Trump presidency that for some reason Americans will swing all the way back across. But I think what we've seen with the 2020s is that Americans absolutely do not want to return to that time. And Pritskar is launching a failed abortive campaign before it even begins.
I want to speak to you, James, about this judge that's been busted for allegedly helping an illegal immigrant evade ICE. This Wisconsin judge was arrested for allegedly helping an illegal immigrant evade law enforcement and is now facing up to 10 years behind bars. This is Milwaukee County Circuit Court Judge Hannah Dugan, and she was arrested last week on charges of obstruction of justice. Now, it's interesting because Democrats are condemning her arrest. Many, of course, are the same people who claim that no one is above the law. What's your take on this all?
Well, I agree. The spectacle of law enforcement arresting a judge is an ugly sight, but why a judge is directing an illegal immigrant out of her own courtroom through a side door while federal immigration agents are waiting to arrest that individual and somehow expecting to get away from it is beyond me. Once again, Democrats have taken the bait here. They are not challenging Trump on other aspects of his immigration policy, which is a bit more problematic potentially. But this is, again, another issue where he's played them completely like fools, because what you see here is this is a man who not only entered the country illegally, he shouldn't be there. Yeah. She has obstructed ICE agents from doing their job. And also, if you actually look at this guy's record, he struck his roommate something like 30 times. He struck his roommate's girlfriend, and he struck his roommate's girlfriend's cousin. So this guy is hardly a saint. And once again, Democrats are rallying to the defense of these extremely problematic figures when actually they should be coming for, the ordinary American citizens whose lives have been disrupted by people like this.
Absolutely. James Billow, editor at UnHerd, thank you so much for joining us on Power Hour.
Thank you.